Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on my first book launch for Loving Me Back to Life, Letters to My Husband. As you can see, I'm kind of channeling my 80s hairstyle. I got my bun here, and we are ready to roll. So, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Pat Weatherspoon Hall, and I am a wife, mother, a business owner, child of God, and so many other things that fall behind that. But what I am also a Christian life coach, mentor, trainer, and also now a new author of Loving You Back to Life, Letters to My Husband. And this is my husband. Introduce yourself, dear.
Hello, y'all. My name is Anthony Hall. I'm so grateful that you all tuning in and taking time out to be a part of her launch.
Thank you, dear. So I wanted to also let you know that so you've come to the channel here and you're probably wanting to know a little bit more about the book. Now, first, let me let you know, after this is over, you'll be able to replay view the replay link later on. And you can also reach me at genesisrejuvenationcenter.org. That is my website. Also on Instagram at The Christian Life Coach. And you can email me at pat@genesisrejuvenationcenter.org. So we're ready to have some fun here tonight. There will be a few surprises and some giveaways, so stay to the end. So the reason I wrote this book, my husband was actually getting ready to embark on a milestone birthday, and I was thinking of something sentimental to give him that would be from the heart. And so what I did was I took some time and in about a month or a few months, decided to write him a series of letters. Anytime I thought about something or felt something, I'd write it down. And this year we've celebrated, how many years, dear?
18 years.
18 years. So we were just a little bit over 18 years. And for those of you who are watching and know us, we got married on his birthday, and I think he did that so that he can remember what day it is. But through the years, of course, through marriage, for some of you who have been in long-term relationships and are married, there are some ups and downs. For one or both of the partners in the relationship, there are some past hurts and pains of some past relationships. And, I was one of those. And when my husband we met, I was a single parent after divorce of two small children, two sons. We have two sons. And I was still carrying some hurt and pain. And it was really hard for me to just let someone in to love me again and trust. And so I think after 18 years, it was about time to just show him some appreciation. And so that's where the book came up. Now, Loving Me Back to Life, Letters to My Husband is 15 love letters written to my husband during thinking of some vulnerable times in our marriage. The book also includes some prayers and just some encouragement for couples while they're going through the hump, but also to let them know that, there's always a way to work it out if both partners are willing to do that. You have anything to say?
No, you're doing great.
He's usually the talker in the family. Also with that, so going back to the birthday gift, so on the day of his birthday, I had the little tablet that I wrote I hand wrote the letters in a tablet, and he was doing some Bible study. I think the door was closed. I knocked on the door and told him happy birthday, gave him a kiss, and handed him the tablet and told him he couldn't come out of the room until he finished reading the letters. And boy, when I tell you, when he opened the door and I could see him smiling from ear to ear, that did my heart good. And he mentioned, that this should be in a book. I thought about it, but I really didn't think that he would, want to share the letters to the public. But after some deep soul searching, I agreed, and here is the book now. But in addition to that, I also added, like I said, some prayers and some encouragement for couples, whether you're married, in a long-term relationship, single, because you also, even if you're single, you need to also be preparing yourself for, if you're wanting to be married or in a long-term relationship, you also need to be preparing yourself for that. So there's also the boot camp section, and there's a model in there that I created where couples, if they're willing to stand on the foundation, that they will be able to work through those, do that boot camp section. And, it requires work. So it's going to require both of them, not just one, to do the work to continue to keep the relationship going. And so I'm very proud of that section. Also, with that being said, I have created, or we will be creating, you don't know that yet, we will be creating a boot camp seminar retreat that will be virtual in September. So be on the lookout for that. Again, if you follow me on Facebook or Genesis Rejuvenation Center or Instagram at The Christian Life Coach, we'll be putting some more information out about that very soon. Also, if you have not gotten your book, you can go to Amazon and pick up the book. If you are going to attend that workshop, you will need to book in order to go through that. So, you're really quiet over here.
Oh no, I'm gonna come in. You're doing a great job.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm very honored to have the book Love Me Back to Life, Letters to My Husband. I would be remiss to not give God the glory because he just used me as a vessel to pour out into his daughter the thing that she needed. So I do want to thank the Lord and I want to thank him for entrusting me to handle his beautiful daughter who he entrusted me to, and to use me as the tool to help navigate her back through. Marriage is a very challenging thing to do. I will be not truthful to you to say that marriage is it's beautiful, but it takes hard work. And in order for it to work is that we bring into marriages past that may have been broken. And unfortunately, those things just don't go away when you get married to someone. And they have a way of raising their heads up in your current circumstance because we have not been healed from what was to where we are now. So once again, she's given me a lot of props to loving her back to life. But I just want to quickly plug her. That God used her mightily because when she married me, she married a broken man. I love God, but I was filled with just so much brokenness. So the Lord used her mightily to, as my mom say, maybe God didn't create marriage. I'm paraphrasing, Mommy, if you're watching this, for us to be happy, but using it as a tool to draw us closer to him. And that's exactly what it was, because when you are a broken man with a broken past, you have great desires of what you wanted. I always wanted to be married, and we have this great idea of wanting to be married, but when we don't have the tools of know what is required to be married, that makes the journey very difficult, and it can be very rough. But I knew that the thing when I saw her, and it's till this day I was in the living room thinking about it before it came on, is that I always told her that the Lord told me that she is a beautiful rosebud that is waiting to bloom. So I'm so grateful to be watching her, that as God is doing so much in her life, that she's beginning to bloom. Not that she hadn't been, but life walking with the Lord and trusting the mate that you're with, it gives you the freedom and the security to be who you are rather than trying to become something of what a model of what people say marriage is. So she has been so instrumental in helping me draw me closer to the Lord so that I can be the fountain that he uses to pour into me to water her life and all that she does. I hope I didn't talk too much. I was trying to be quiet.
Can you tell he's a pastor? Thank you, dear. I love that. And so over the course of the 18 years that we've been married, of course, me coming from divorce and bringing in 2 children, he vowed to love as much as he loves me. And now they are grown and have their own family. So, God, without God first, this wouldn't have happened. So, if you're in a blended family or you're thinking about getting remarried, on a note, I was not getting remarried. ever. So, but then God sent me him. So here we are 18 years later. Um, and so, and one of the letters, I'm going to read a little tidbit here. And throughout the rest of our time together, my husband, you have the, if you want to chime in, he may be spilling some tea on me. Okay. Some tea about me, not on me. So chime in when you need to. This is one of the letters that I wrote in the book. My love, the way you watch me, watch me, is so stinking cute. You make my heart flutter. You make me blush even when I'm not at my best. Now, how many of us, especially women, we are a little bit harder on ourselves when we're not feeling well, or we gain a few pounds, the clothes don't fit, things like that. And, by any day or minute, if you go and ask your husband, well, how do, the infamous question, well, how do I look in these clothes? Do you answer that or not?
No.
Anyway, thank you, dear.
I'm learning.
He has learned a lot. So sometimes the way you look at me is so lovingly, it scares me for a moment, because in that moment I realize I don't want you ever to stop looking at me that way. I don't want to disappoint you. I want to be all that God has called me to be for you without falter. In that very moment, I silently say a small prayer, and then I return to looking at you, watching you, watching me. It is still so stinking cute. So this is just one of the letters in the book. Go get the book. Amazon.com. You can go ahead and get the book. And also, with that being said, I think I mentioned there's also an area in here for couples to write their own letters, to each other. And, some people might be saying, I know how to write a letter. I don't need a book for that. But, you never know. These are tools. I structured the book as to be used as a tool, not just for the individual, but for the couple. And so if you take the book, read the letters, get some inspiration. You may be at a point now in your relationship where, to be honest, you don't like each other right now. You're going through some things. You're slamming doors, he's slamming doors, you're coming in, not speaking, things like that. We've all been through it. We have to. And, it takes work. And so that was one of the reasons why, how I came up with the marriage model, which is also included in the book. Now, I'm not going to go over that, but once you get the book and you work through the sections where that is, I think it will help you to continue that foundation that you have built upon. And so when you don't have the right foundation and you don't upkeep, you don't do upkeep, what happens to that foundation? It cracks. It's falling apart. And the more you disregard it, it continues to fall apart. But once you start the healing process and you start putting in the tools, you put in the work, you're dedicated to it, each partner in it has a stake in that marriage. And so you both agree to keep that marriage going and to do whatever it takes to keep it going. So I encourage you, if you are out there and you are struggling within your relationship, you don't know if you want to stay or if you want to leave, or you don't want to reach out to anyone in your family to talk to, go to a counselor, go to a life coach. I am a life coach. I give free consultations. You can reach out to me, email me, or call. And if I can't help you, I don't mind referring you to someone else. But we want to help you. We want to strengthen marriage. I want to help you, and I want to strengthen marriage and relationships. One of my goals as a life coach, my mission statement is helping you reach your destiny through spiritual insight and guidance. So I work with you on trying to develop what your goals are, and then helping you reach those goals through small steps. Okay, and holding you accountable. So this book will also hold you accountable to what you say if you want the marriage and the relationship to work. Anything on that, there?
Well, actually, I like to go back a little bit. I mean, you were flowing and going, and so I didn't want to break your flow. So, I just learned a sec. I think it's very important with one of the writings that she read to us is that it's important for us to understand is that we can give something to our spouse that is not necessarily always something tangible. It's not always a touch. It's not always, well, let me hug you or kiss you. It's just little things that we can do that are that's not tangible or reaching out because when we just rely on the physical touch, it can break the emotional connection that is needed. So, we do have our little things whereby if we watch a TV, we can look in, but what it does, it helps foster marriage because intimacy is not always just about touching.
Right.
And I think that's something that we miss in relationship. I mean, I've done that and been through it in my life, but I'm learning now that it's the little things that make someone happy. So I want to encourage you. What are some things that if what you're doing, and once again, by all means, we do not have the perfect marriage. I want you to know
Right.
that we have not arrived, that we're just in a position
Yeah,
that
you
we
weren't
can
supposed to
just.
tell them that.
Oh, okay. But it's a work in progress. But what are some things that if you've been yearning for a touch and you're not getting that, what are some tools or applications that you can work on that are not tangibly? Is tangible the right word I'm using?
Right, tangible. It's not always touch, but also when you said that, you also want to try to know the love language of your partner. I use the analogy, and I've used this before, and you may remember, I used to use it a lot. If I like steak and you present it to me on a nice plate, it's all clean, you know, to me, he loves me, he's bringing me something presentable, I can eat it. But if I like steak and he brings it on a trash can lid, that means something else. So, that's not going to be appealing to me. And so, sometimes we get into a habit where, I may like something, so I'm going to go out and get this, this for my spouse, and, he or she won't like it, and we may get upset. But, that's my love language. That's not his love language. So that's also important in a marriage to just kind of learn and understand. You're both coming from different backgrounds. You're raised differently. Your worldview is different. And even when you're married or in a long-term relationship, not all of that changes. You compromise. You bring things together. Two separate worldviews can come together and make something beautiful, but you still have your worldview, and he or she has his or her worldview.
And the Lord gave me the word I was looking for. It's the physical touch. I'm like, why is that word escaping me?
Physical touch.
But so often, and you see, and this is the things once again, marriage is something you have to work at because there are going to be times that you don't want your spouse to touch you. You don't want to be touched. So what things can I give emotionally that are intangible? I got that word right. That we can still reach out and connect with our spouses because we attribute love to just physical touching, but it's those little things that you can look at your spouse that can set a blaze. But I also want to touch on something because I was giving you room since you were flowing. You also said something that is very important. It's so often in life is that the house that you live in or the apartment, wherever you may be, the job you work at, they have to establish the foundation first. So sometimes in marriage, we come and want to be in a relationship or a marriage and we don't have a foundation and we just start building the home. And we just start erecting what we want, and then we come to find out that after we have created what we want superficially, if you will, that the relationship is not standing because a foundation has not been laid. And so most of the times what we try to do, we then try to establish a foundation once the house is built, but a person has now become conditioned to the house that they're living in, and to begin to try to put in a foundation may require some walls in your home or in your life or marriage to come tumbling down because the house or the marriage or the relationship was not built from the ground up. So it's very important. And once again, we've all done that. So once again, I've built relationships from just building up the home, because guess what? It's easy, it's quick, it's
Right.
attractive. It doesn't require work to dig and to get past whatever. But if you are in a marriage or you are in a relationship and things aren't seeming to come right, take a look at the foundation. How was it started? Who is the foundation of your life? Is it, is it your education? Is your looks? Is this? And I'm here to tell you from first-hand experience, if the foundation is not the Lord's, then you're going to be building a house on sinking sand. So,
Right.
but
Right.
if you have built a house, a relationship on a frame without a foundation, with God, there's always room. Once again, you may have to tear down the house and start all
Start
over
all
again,
over.
but it'll be well worth it.
Right. Right. And with that being said, once those walls and that foundation starts cracking, sometimes that puts us in shock. We're in shock. It's like, what happened? We were all happy and we were this and that, and then all of a sudden it's all breaking apart. And like my husband said, it could be what you went into that foundation with. If it's not on the Lord or faith, that's one of the things that I write about here in the book, that it's going to eventually fall. And whatever your foundation may be, there's an exercise in here where the couples have to be able to start building their foundation. They have to agree on what that foundation is, and what steps they're going to start to take in order to rebuild or get it to where they need it to be, so that they can have a successful relationship, a successful marriage. That also includes children. My husband didn't have any children when we got married, and he gained 2 sons. So, and they love him to death. And like I said, they're grown. They are fathers of their own, and hopefully they're teaching their children the way they should. They're raising up their children the way they should go. So, something else.
Well, I was going to say something, but I did that maybe to get your attention. But sorry for interrupting, but before she moves on, the Lord gave me something for us, is that the reason why the foundation is so important is because a foundation is designed to withstand the strain of the house that's on it. And when we don't have that foundation, we find the strain in our marriages, our relationships, to sometimes be unbearable. And that's why you find homes that just fall and collapse within. Mm-hmm. But once again, laying the foundation is the hardest thing, because laying the foundation requires you to unearth some things that are hurtful in your past.
Right.
And many of us, we don't want that, because we just want to live what is now, and that's understandable. But whatever is underneath your home is going to be the thing that causes your house to shift.
Right.
And without that foundation, you're going to have the shifts. And once again, you may walk into your marriage or your relationship one day, and you're going to find one half of your house gone, because right. It wasn't on the foundation. And the tears of your sadness has wetted the ground where it should have been a foundation that has caused to create a sinkhole.
And you have to be able to, in order to repair and mend a relationship, I think you have to be able to start first within you. And I'm laughing because this phrase used to come out a few times in our early marriage. The other person is trying to change you. And I always, I said, you cannot change me. Only
She's
the Lord,
right.
I used to say, only the Lord can change me, and if he wants me to be changed. And, and I've seen people post things about changing someone else. You cannot change anyone. They have to change for themselves, and the Lord will work with that. So some of us come into relationships going, okay, he or she is, not the way I want them to be now, but boy, after we get in there and we get married, I'm going to change him, I'm going to change her. Let me tell you, that don't work. Okay, that does not work. So, you have to be able to change from within. That change starts from within. Once you work deep into your core and, fix what's there and, call on the Lord, you'll be able to exude that on the outside. But you have to start from within.
And sorry for taking over your show here, but so often the reason why we look and want to change others is that we use that to deflect from looking to work on the things that start with us.
Right.
The hardest thing for us to do is to do a true self-evaluation, to say, this is what's wrong with me, because what I'm maybe seeing from the other person is really a reflection of the things that I'm trying to avoid within me.
Right.
And so if I'm just looking at that person saying, well, you need to change in order for this to work, well, I'm deflecting from dealing with my realities of what's in me, because it's easy to attack you rather than taking the time to invest within myself. It's hard work to invest in yourself. It's a hard thing to sit down and begin to say, okay, what needs to be changed about me? I don't like this about me.
Right.
And so how can I work past this? Well, number one, the Lord has Christian people who can help you, or counsel who can help you there. But I just want to encourage you, whether it's your mate or something that you in, stop looking at what they're doing and begin to shine and ask God to search your heart.
Right.
Because many of us are leaking and broken and we can't help build up. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead.
And I mentioned earlier about the marriage model, a model that I created. And one of the, I'm going to give you one of the words here out of that marriage model. And it is...
Marriage is the acronym. I'm sorry.
Marriage model. Once you get the book, you'll see what that model is. But one of those is accountability. Okay? Accountability, not just to your spouse or your partner, but also to yourself. You have to be accountable for what you do. And that's not a responsibility of your partner or your spouse. So, as they say, you have to check yourself first before you check anybody else. So, but that's just one of the things that you will read in the book as you start reading the letters and getting through the boot camp part as well. So those are things. I wanted the book to help those who, maybe have forgotten, why they love each other. And, because of so many things that have happened. But if you're willing to work at it and be accountable to yourself and to your partner, as well as the marriage foundation of that relationship, and willing to do the work, you can make that relationship last. And so that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book, besides giving it to my husband, so that he can know that we appreciate him, and, taking on what I used to call a ready-made family. And with him being a single person for, so many years, we both had those, shift changes and things where we, growing pains, and they were growing pains, but we both learned. So now, any final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, that word I'm trying to maintain, because I can run my mouth, but I'll be quick. The accountability is really important, because what accountability allows us to do is it allows us to take ownership of our actions. Rather than deflecting and saying, you're the reason what caused this, it says, something, I'm going to take ownership on my role in this. And once I become accountable for that, it really begins to do an personal assessment or evaluation. And if a person is really ready for change, that's what they're willing to do. I'm willing to be accountable for what I did or did not do that caused us to be there, because no one wants to say that they're wrong. But the truth of the matter, we are wrong in how we handle some things. And
right.
it helps a marriage when somebody can say, well, okay, I was wrong. I finally see it from your... Thank you. So go ahead.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for your input. Thank you for being here tonight. And I'm going to go ahead and let you exit stage
Thank y'all. Take care.
Okay, now I know the part that you've been waiting on are those giveaways. So first of all, go to get the book, Amazon.com. You can get the paperback, and you can also get the ebook, which is now up as well. You can visit me at The Christian Life Coach on Instagram. Go to my webpage at www.genesisrejuvenationcenter.org. And you can also email me at pat@genesisrejuvenationcenter.org. Now, after this is on the replay, for the comments, you can go ahead and go into the comments. Put in how many years you've been married. I'm going to give away one book to the person who's been married the longest, and I am going to give away 2 tickets to the couple who's been married the least amount of time. So they're going to have tickets to, or that couple is going to get tickets to our virtual boot camp in September. So the book will go to the person or the couple who's been married the longest, and the tickets will go to the couple who's been married the least amount of time. Because we feel that that couple will really be able to benefit from going through the boot camp. So also, if you have any questions, please, if you've bought the book, please do a write-up about it and tell everyone. And, you know, I want to hear what you think about it and go from there. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining me.